In a quiet rural town in America, William and Margaret lived a simple and challenging life. Despite their hardships, they were full of hope as Margaret was about to give birth to their first children. One stormy evening, Margaret went into labor, and after hours of struggle, she gave birth to twin boys. But while Margaret rested in her hospital bed, holding one of the babies in her arms, William was drowning in worry. The other twin lay in the hospital crib, tiny and fragile. William's heart ached as he thought about how they could possibly care for two children when they could barely feed themselves. At that moment, he overheard the cries of a wealthy couple in a nearby room. They had tragically lost their newborn during childbirth. Driven by desperation and guilt, William made a fateful decision. He sold one of the twins to the grieving couple, believing it was for the best. When he returned to Margaret, he lied, telling her that one of the babies had not survived. Margaret, devastated, wept silently as she cradled her remaining child, Jack. Years passed, and Jack grew up into a hard-working, kind-hearted young man. Though poor, he adored his mother and worked tirelessly at construction sites to support her. Margaret, despite her loss, found comfort in Jack's unwavering love and devotion. But William was consumed by guilt. The decision he had made all those years ago haunted him every day. He often thought about the other twin and wondered how he was doing. One day, unable to bear the weight of his regret any longer, William set out for the city where he had given up his son. He roamed the streets near the wealthy family's mansion and, to his shock, saw a young man who looked exactly like Jack. The resemblance was undeniable. His son was alive and thriving, living a life of privilege and comfort, but William could not bring himself to approach him. Paralyzed by shame, he watched from a distance. Before he could make amends, fate intervened. That very evening, William was struck by a car in a tragic accident and died, leaving his secret buried with him. Back in their small town, Jack continued to work tirelessly to support Margaret. On a fateful day at the construction site, Jack's foreman shouted at him to hurry up. Feeling rushed and anxious, Jack climbed an unstable scaffold to finish his work. In his haste, he lost his balance and fell to his death. Margaret was devastated. First, her husband had died, and now her beloved son was gone, leaving her utterly alone. As Margaret grieved, she discovered an old crumpled letter hidden among William's belongings. It was a confession he had written, but never delivered. In the letter, William revealed the truth about the twins. He had sold one of their sons to a wealthy family. Shocked, Margaret felt a mix of anger, sorrow, and hope. She decided to find her other son. Margaret made her way to the city and found the grand mansion where her son lived. She stood outside, watching as he walked past the large windows. His resemblance to Jack brought tears to her eyes. But instead of revealing herself, she applied for a job as a maid in the mansion, hoping to be near him without disrupting his life. Not long after, tragedy struck again. Her son fell gravely ill with a rare blood disorder. Doctors informed the family that only a biological relative could provide the blood needed for a life-saving transfusion. Margaret, unable to remain silent, revealed the truth. She was his biological mother. The young man was shocked and struggled to process the revelation. But as he looked into Margaret's tear-filled eyes, he saw the love and sacrifice she had carried for years. He forgave her and allowed her to donate her blood to save his life. The transfusion was successful, and the young man recovered. Margaret finally shared her story with him, and the two began to rebuild the bond they never had the chance to form. For Margaret, the pain of losing one son and the guilt of the past were softened by the joy of reuniting with her other son. Together, they started a new chapter, one filled with hope, love, and the healing of old wounds.